Parliamentary updates.
Myths and memories, where folklore and superstitions meet. This was the theme for the November exhibition of the Rotunda Gallery at the Red House. The curation featured artwork that represented various superstitions that have shaped our lives, local mythical figures and legends, and the importance of passing down stories. This exhibition aligns with several United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, including SDG 4, quality education by encouraging intergenerational learning through the preservation and reinterpretation of folklore and oral traditions. SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities by safeguarding intangible cultural heritage and promoting community identity through art and storytelling. And SDG 17, partnerships for the goals by uniting artists, cultural institutions, and communities to keep heritage alive. We spoke with several of the exhibiting artists about their work.
Mainly the stories my dad used to tell me, because my dad's from the countryside, so he would tell me a lot of stories about folklore characters, and from that I got my inspiration. It took me like at least 3 months to do it, because I was doing it with other pieces as well. So about 3 months. I really like them. Like I always like folklore and stuff. So seeing a bunch of other people like draw folklore, paint folklore characters, it's very lovely. I like it.
The inspiration of these pieces, I was trying to do a modern interpretation of our folklore, so the people with the modern generation can have an idea of the folklore. So one team is a set. One team is for pertaining to Mama the Glow in the blue glory in the water, and the next one is the vibrant Sukunya in her radiant fire color. Each piece individually take a week and a half to clear, to complete. I used stretch canvas and my medium was acrylic. The team pertaining to folklore I find is a great team to showcase the culture and the heritage of Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean. So I think it's a great team. So it let people from both young and old have an idea of the culture that existed before them from ancient times and brought it to the modern era, so people be aware of the culture and the folklore. So I find it's a good team.
As a child, I grew up just hearing all these stories of the folklore that we had, because I grew up in a time when we didn't have too much of TV stations. We only had one, and I spent a lot of time in the countryside. And in the countryside, a lot of the family I spent time by had no TV, so, and no electricity. So you would have these stories about Laja Bless and Lakahu and Papa Ba and thing by candlelight or by flambeau light. And by the time you get to sleep now, you dream all these things. So yeah, that was my inspiration to bring back some of the characters that I grew up hearing about. It was the first time I was working with the medium on canvas, so it took roughly about 2 to 3 weeks for each one. Some had more challenges than others because the canvases behave differently because it was from different sources. So in some cases, because it's pastels I was using, and in some cases the pastels wasn't holding to the surface properly, so I'll do a different treatment to get it hold. So it took a little while. It's refreshing because, you know, a lot of young people growing up now, they're not really, you know, aware of a lot of our traditional folklore and so on. So I saw it as a nice, refreshing remembrance to you know, what we grew up and what the older generation would have passed on to us. We have to pass on to the younger generation now as well.
I created the piece with the intent of bringing awareness of Tobago's folklore to Trinidadians and Tobagonians who don't really know that much about it, because I found that there's like a lack of knowledge of Tobago's folklore specifically, and there seems to be like a danger that it will be forgotten. So with the piece captured, I wanted to encourage people to kind of not let that happen, to see the beautiful fairy maid, the creature, and like not let her die, not let her be forgotten. She's a representation of Tobago's folklore, and we should protect it and prevent it from being lost. It took me like 6 months. 2 months I used to like plan and make sketches and figure out the pose or the colors I wanted to use, do research and all of that, and then the other 4 months were used for the actual execution of the piece. I used plaster wrap, which is that thing that you use to make casts, and a lot of other stuff. I used sawdust for the moss, vines, rocks, paint, yeah, different materials. I think it's really great. I think everyone has amazing work, and it makes me feel proud of the artists that we have in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah.
I'll say the inspiration for these pieces was more of a realization that growing up, I wasn't really very attached to my culture, because as a younger Trinidadian, we tend to get lost in the glitz and glamour of international media, forgetting that it is those countries and their creatives that put in the blood, sweat and tears to bring their culture to an international standard to present on the world stage. So I decided to put all the skills I've been developing over the years into modernizing our local folklore, and these three was basically the start of that. I would say from a couple of days to a couple of weeks. A lot of people think digital art is like much easier than the traditional, but each one has its varying levels of difficulty. I use Photoshop, so I would start with a sketch layer, and then I would clean up the lines and refine the line art. Then I'll put down the flat colors, then I'll go in with some shadows and lighting, and then the special effects that you see, like the green on the hat and the different embellishments. I actually love the exhibition because usually, especially when I was growing up, I didn't really hear much about the local folklore, so it was a nice surprise to hear about a folklore exhibition, especially since these works were a recent development. So to be able to be a part of it and then come and see all the different art pieces, yeah, it was a very nice experience, and I'm looking forward to like more stuff like this around the country and stuff.
My inspiration for these pieces is that, to me, Trinidad and Tobago has such a rich, culturally diverse heritage, and being able to preserve that, being able to articulate that, being able to immortalize it is very important. So I'm grateful to play a role in that. It's a 4-part series. So the first one was done in 2022, and the completion was into 2024. And each piece takes on average 120 to 300 hours to complete. My medium is traditional. I work with graphite and charcoal pencils on paper. So it's a very tedious, engaging, demanding medium. And the time takes what it takes. It demands what it demands. And I think the exhibition is a wonderful initiative for the creators to have a space at all times in order to come and have their work on display. It gives them something to continue to push towards. It also provides the space for the public to come and see what is being poured into the preservation of our culture, and to know that it is an ongoing effort really makes me very happy. So I'm grateful and honored to be a part of it.
For generations, the folklore and superstitions of Trinidad and Tobago have served as more than just stories. They are living testaments to a nation's cultural memory, woven from the threads of African, Indian, European, indigenous, and Chinese traditions. From the haunting cry of the Sukunya and the mysterious presence of the Laja Bless, to the mischievous wit of Anansi and the protective rituals of salt, prayers, and charms. Our folklore has shaped the way we see the world and taught us lessons about morality, community, and survival. Stay tuned for further parliamentary updates. For more information, visit our website at www.ttparliament.org and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Instagram.
Parliamentary updates.